In 2025, something major happened that gun owners had been waiting for over 4 years. President Trump signed an order that didn't just make headlines, it actually changed the rules for millions of law-abiding Americans. And what followed? It reshaped how gun laws are handled across the country. So if you own a firearm, carry one, or are even thinking about buying one, you need to understand exactly what this executive order means for you right now. Quick pause before we go deeper. Are you subscribed to this channel? Because I'm about to walk you through 6 major victories for gun owners that happened in 2025 alone, and what's coming in 2026. It could be even bigger. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's next. Seriously, it takes just 2 seconds. All right, let's break it down from the start. On February 7, 2025, President Trump signed Executive Order 14206, officially titled Protecting Second Amendment Rights. Now, at first, that might sound like standard political language. But this one wasn't just talk, it triggered real action. This order gave a direct instruction to the entire federal government: stop putting pressure on law-abiding gun owners. Here's where it gets important. The order assigned Attorney General Pam Bondi a very specific task. She had exactly 30 days to review every gun-related rule, policy, and regulation introduced during the Biden administration, from January 2021 to January 2025. Every single one had to be examined. Her mission? Identify which of those rules were limiting Second Amendment rights, and then come back with a plan to fix them. Now, think about that for a moment. 4 years worth of policies, all being carefully reviewed. That's not small, that's massive. And here's something most people didn't notice at the time. This wasn't just about 1 or 2 policies. The order covered everything: how guns are classified, rules on ammunition, how the ATF handled gun dealers, international firearm agreements, even court cases where the government argued against gun rights. Nothing was off limits. Now you might be wondering, presidents sign orders all the time. Does anything actually change? That's fair. So let's talk about what really happened next, because the changes were real and they're already impacting people. The first major shift affected gun dealers. During the Biden years, the ATF enforced what was called the Zero Tolerance Policy, also known as the Enhanced Regulatory Enforcement Policy. In simple terms, it meant that even minor paperwork mistakes during inspections could cost a gun store its federal firearms license. We're talking about small errors, like a missing date or an unchecked box. Under that system, even honest mistakes could shut down a business permanently. Thousands of dealers were affected. Some lost their licenses. Others gave them up out of fear. But now, that policy is gone. In April 2025, the Department of Justice officially ended the zero tolerance approach. And when they did, they made a statement that caught a lot of attention. They said, and this is important, the prior administration's zero tolerance policy unfairly targeted law-abiding gun owners and created an undue burden on Americans seeking to exercise their constitutional right to bear arms. That's the federal government openly admitting the policy was wrong. That doesn't happen often. And it didn't stop there. In May 22, the ATF announced that gun dealers who lost their licenses under that policy could reapply. That means stores that were forced to close now have a real chance to reopen. For local communities, that's a big deal. It directly affects access to firearms and supports small businesses. But here's something that almost no one is talking about. This executive order also restarted a path for individuals to restore their gun rights. If someone had previously lost their Second Amendment rights due to a conviction, there is now a process to petition for restoration. The Trump administration moved this program under the Department of Justice's Office of the Pardon Attorney, and as of 2025, those applications are finally being processed again. This program had been inactive for years. Now it's back in motion. If you've made it this far, just imagine what's coming next. In my next video, I'm going to explain exactly what you should and should not say when law enforcement asks if you're carrying, knowing this could seriously protect you from legal trouble. So don't miss it. Subscribe now and stay informed. Alright, now let's get into the pistol brace situation, because this one is massive. During the Biden administration, the ATF introduced a rule that changed everything. It basically said that if you attach a stabilizing brace to your pistol, your firearm could be treated as a short-barreled rifle. And once that happens, it falls under the National Firearms Act. What does that mean for you? It means registration with the federal government, a background check, and paying a $200 tax stamp. Overnight, millions of gun owners were put in a risky position. People who legally owned their firearms suddenly faced the possibility of federal charges just because of an accessory. But here's where things took a dramatic turn. That rule is now gone. The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals stepped in and struck it down completely. And here's the part that really matters. The Trump Department of Justice chose not to challenge that decision. They didn't appeal it. They let it end. That move was intentional. As a result, the pistol brace rule no longer has legal power. If you own a pistol with a stabilizing brace, the pressure just dropped significantly. Now let's shift gears, because this next part hits your wallet directly. On July 4th, 2025, President Trump signed a law with a very unusual name, the One Big Beautiful Bill. Yes, that is the official name. Hidden inside that bill was something gun owners had been waiting decades for. The $200 NFA tax on suppressors and short-barreled rifles and shotguns, eliminated. Completely gone, this tax has been around since 1934. It was originally put in place to make these items too expensive for the average person. It wasn't just about regulation, it was meant to discourage ownership. Now it's been wiped out. Let's break it down with a simple example. Before July 2025, if you wanted to buy a suppressor, you might pay around $800 for the item itself. Then, on top of that, you had to pay an extra $200 tax to the government. But that wasn't all. You had to fill out detailed paperwork, wait months for approval, sometimes over a year, and your name would go into a federal registry. All of that just to legally own something that reduces the sound of your firearm. Now, that extra $200 is gone. That's real money saved, and one less barrier between you and something you can legally own. But here's where things get even more interesting. The entire NFA registration system was originally built to support that tax. So now, legal experts and gun rights groups are raising a serious question. If the tax is gone, does the registration requirement still have a legal foundation? That question is now being challenged in court. The National Rifle Association, NRA, has already joined a coalition lawsuit in federal court aiming to challenge the full registration system for suppressors and short-barreled firearms. If that case is successful, it could remove a huge amount of red tape completely. Now, quick legal note, because this part is important. Everything shared here is for educational purposes only. This is not legal advice. Gun laws can be complicated, and they vary from state to state. If you have a specific legal concern, always speak with a licensed attorney in your state. Federal rules may not match your local laws. And before we move on, here's something you should know. Right now, 73% of people watching are not subscribed to this channel. That means most of you might leave today and miss the next major update when it drops. Don't be that person. Join the community that stays informed first. Hit that subscribe button. You'll be glad you did. Now let's talk about the Supreme Court, because 2026 is shaping up to be a critical year. In June 2025, the Supreme Court of the United States made a major decision in a case called Smith & Wesson Brands v. Estados Unidos Mexicanos. This case involved Mexico suing American gun manufacturers, trying to hold them responsible for cartel violence. Think about that for a second, a foreign government attempting to use U.S. courts to financially destroy American gun companies. The Supreme Court rejected the case entirely. All 9 justices agreed, a unanimous decision. That kind of agreement sends a very strong message. But that's not the end of it. In October 2025, the court agreed to hear another major case, Wolford v. Lopez. This case focuses on Hawaii's concealed carry laws. After the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association v. Bruin decision in 2022, which confirmed that Americans have the right to carry firearms outside the home, several states tried to work around that ruling. They started creating long lists of places where carrying firearms would be restricted, almost everywhere open to the public. Restaurants, parking areas, and more. Hawaii went even further. Their law requires you to have clear permission from property owners before carrying a firearm on their premises. In real life, that's extremely difficult to follow. Now, the Wolford v. Lopez case is heading to the Supreme Court, and a decision is expected in 2026. And depending on that outcome, it could once again reshape the rules for gun owners across the country. Now, here's where the story takes a serious turn. If the court rules in favor of gun owners, it could wipe out similar laws in states like New York, New Jersey, California, and others that have used the same method to make legal carry almost impossible. Just think about that for a second. A single ruling could become one of the biggest Second Amendment victories in years. And when that decision is released, you're going to want to understand exactly what it means right away. Because this kind of information doesn't stay the same. The Wolford decision is expected in 2026. And the moment it comes out, I'll be breaking it down step by step. So subscribe now, because that is one update you cannot afford to miss. The impact could change your carry rights across dozens of states overnight. Now, let's put everything together. What actually happened here? In roughly 1 year, the Trump administration made several major moves. They ended the zero-tolerance pressure on gun dealers, restarted the rights restoration process, stopped the pistol brace ban, removed the $200 NFA tax on suppressors, and short-barreled firearms, secured a unanimous Supreme Court win protecting the gun industry, and set the stage for what could be a landmark case in 2026 about your right to carry. That's not just political talk. These are real legal changes that affect what you can own, where you can carry, and how much money stays in your pocket. For the first time in decades, the Second Amendment is being treated more like an actual right, not just an issue to manage. But here's the reality you need to hear. None of this lasts unless gun owners stay aware and involved. The 2026 midterm elections matter. Court battles are still ongoing. States like California and Illinois are still actively pushing back against these rights. And government systems don't change overnight just because a president signs an order. That's exactly why staying informed is so important. Channels like this exist for a reason. I go through the research, read court rulings, and break down complex legal documents so you don't have to. All you need to do is subscribe and stay updated. So here's the key takeaway. Trump's Second Amendment executive order from February 2025 was not just symbolic. It led to real, measurable changes in federal gun policy. From ending zero-tolerance enforcement, to removing the NFA tax, to a Supreme Court case that could reshape carry laws across the country, 2025 was a historic year for gun owners. And 2026 could be even bigger. If you found this useful, share it with another gun owner who needs to hear it. Drop a comment and let me know which of these changes matters most to you. And if you're still not subscribed, what are you waiting for? This community is here to keep you informed, keep you within the law, and keep you prepared. Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. One last thing, this content is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not legal advice. Laws change often and vary by state. Always consult a licensed attorney for advice specific to your situation.